Here.
Foot,
Here.
Shower,
Here.
Scent,
Here.
Kuzma.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to consent agenda. Any discussion on it? It's been moved by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Don to approve the consent agenda as stated on the agenda. Roll call, please.
Dauber,
Aye.
Foot,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Scent,
Aye.
Kuzma,
Aye.
Fulton.
And we'll move on to recognition of visitors and correspondence. First, we have Rick Haber with Corridor Safety Systems.
He might still be.
All right, well, we have Mrs. Kenkel regarding Battle of the Books.
People at home
That's good too.
Hello, I'm glad to be here to talk to you tonight about an EDBQ activity that we have sponsored for, I was just trying to count it up, I believe either the last 6 or 7 years, and that is our Battle of the Books team. So to give you some history, we were invited, I believe in 2019, though it might have been a year earlier, I couldn't tell for sure in my records, by the librarians from the Dubuque high schools to participate in what up to that point had just been the Dubuque School District Battle of the Books. And they had at that point wanted to extend it to be a tri-state area thing. So they had emailed me and a number of teachers and librarians from other schools in the area and invited us to participate. And I was thrilled, thought it would be very cool, and I was excited to get a team together. If you aren't familiar, Battle of the Books is essentially a reading trivia contest. So our students are all participants, everybody who participates in the battle is given a collective list of books. Then I invite students to sign up and join, and they are formed into teams of no more than 6 students who then read collectively the 12 or 13 books that are on that list in the course of the school year. So usually like from October to about February. Then in February, we go to compete in the battle, which involves our students meeting at one of the Dubuque schools with all of the other teams, and we participate in 3 rounds of basically trivia questions about those books. First round type questions generally ask, in which book does this particular thing happen? So for example, this year we had, in which book does a shoe figure prominently in a murder trial? And then the students have to know which book was that, and they have to name the book. Second round trivia questions will ask, in the book, with the book title's name, what does this character repeatedly ask for a snack? And they have to remember that detail from the book. And then the teams that have the highest scores based on those first 2 rounds move into the final round, which is similar style questions, and then at the end, whichever team has the highest points is the first place winner. This year, I was very excited. I took 2 teams to the battle this year, and they scored in 2nd and 3rd place. And that's pretty much been standard for us every year that we have gone. I have had teams make it into the finals every year, and I believe, and again, I couldn't tell from my records, I didn't have time to dig deep enough to find it, but I believe we have taken first place either 4 or 5 times in the times that we've gone. So it's been a very exciting program to work with, and it's been, I think, very beneficial to our students. In preparation for coming to talk to you, I asked the students to tell me what did they like about Battle of the Books, why did they choose to participate, and they kind of gave me generally 4 things that they felt like they got out of this and why it was a beneficial experience. So they said the first thing that was important to them is that this provided good exercise for their minds, that they appreciate we have extracurricular activities that provide primarily exercise for the body, but this was specifically exercise for their minds. One of my students, Trevlin Timmerman, said that he thought it improved his memory and his comprehension, which was really beneficial, due to having to remember those details from several books all at once. And then another student, Joelle Haven, said that it was a way for her to grow her reading skills without it feeling like schoolwork. So a chance to work on those brain skills we want students to do in a way that didn't feel burdensome necessarily at all. The second thing that students told me that they thought was beneficial about this was that it pushed them as readers. Now, all of these students who are signing up already consider themselves to be active readers, which is thrilling for me to get to work with these students. But those students also told me that this really pushed them to read books that either they never would have picked up on their own, to explore genres that they never would have chosen to read, or to find authors that they never would have come into contact with if it hadn't been for this list of books that they had to choose from. And as a teacher looking at these lists, I really think it's beneficial because the book list that is drawn every year comes from the Iowa High School Book Awards. So these are books that are nominated by librarians and then voted on by students, I believe, to determine the final list. And so the books range in a lot of subjects, in a lot of genres, in a lot of perspectives, and I think for our students especially who come from an area where we don't always have a lot of diversity, or we don't have a large sort of range of experiences that are immediately an opportunity to them in this area, they get to live the lives or step into the shoes of people who are experiencing very different things. In the past several years, we have had books written from the perspectives of Native Americans, Middle Eastern students, LGBTQ individuals, East Asian students, immigrants, refugees, disabled people, and those who experience poverty on a regular basis. So I think for our students, this is good to see those other perspectives, or if they themselves are experiencing some struggles in those areas, it's a chance to say, I'm not alone. There are other people who have these same challenges, these same difficulties that I do. The third thing that students told me was beneficial was that they really appreciated being able to connect with other readers. Reading is not something that you generally have huge interactions with other people. It's an independent process primarily. So the students repeatedly talked about how much they enjoy getting to connect with other readers in their school. And I thought, there were a couple of students that said things that I thought were very sort of moving. And that was one, Sydney Schoenhardt said that while she's a sports athlete and connects with other sports athletes, she said it's typically always the same people that I get to play sports with. And she really appreciated the fact that this allowed her to connect and get that thrill of competition with a group of students that she maybe wouldn't have interacted with on a regular basis without it. And then for two of my other students, this is the only extracurricular activity that they take part in. They don't see themselves as athletes. They don't feel themselves drawn to some of our more performance-based extracurriculars. And this is something where they get a chance to feel like they belong, to find something that they do really well and that they can thrive in. So I love that this is an experience that they can have. And then the final thing that they talked about was the fact that they really appreciated the competition aspect and the teamwork that they get to experience through this. They're still working independently to read the books primarily, but they still meet as teams throughout the year, starting in about November and then up until the meet happens in February, where they discuss who's reading what books, how's it going, do we need to have another person read that book in order to sort of make sure we have a good basis of knowledge. They take notes as they're reading, they share those notes with each other. There's regular kind of quizzing of each other as we're driving from here to senior high school, where usually this happens because it's the space that it's big enough to happen in. There's just constant rapid fire of questions happening in the back while I'm driving and listening to them, try to determine what's gonna be the random bit of information and are we gonna have it. They talked about the fact that it's exciting to prepare for the competition, that it's something they look forward to every year. Another student, Sammy Sote, said she thinks that it's thrilling, that it's something she's looked forward to each year since her freshman year, as she had sisters who also competed in this previously, and that it's something that she's really looking forward to doing next year when she's a senior as well. I found out that could potentially be a bit of a hiccup in this for next year. The librarians at the Dubuque schools are previously the ones who have arranged, coordinated, planned the questions, and done all of the work for this. And when the battle happened this year, they let me know that there's maybe a possibility that they might not be able to do that due to funding issues going on in the Dubuque schools. So I mentioned to them that if that is the case, that I would like them to let me know that this is something that is really so beneficial for our students that I don't want it to see it go away. And so I told them if that becomes the case, that I would like them to let me know, because I would like to see if that's something we could potentially host here, if it's not a possibility for them. So, thank you for your time. I hope you at least learned a little bit about this program. Do you have any questions for me about Battle of the Books?
I love it. I don't have any questions. That's really cool. Thank
It's
you.
a great job. It does provide that opportunity for those kids that, want to pursue it. There's a lot of kids that love reading. What a great way to do that. Just a question that I have. Is this just for juniors and seniors?
No, this is 9 through 12 students. So I had several students this year that were freshmen. I had a couple of students that were seniors, so we kind of generally have a range from all grade levels, which is nice because then the upperclassmen who've done this before can kind of coach the younger students who are usually on they're mixed in teams of what to expect and how to prepare. So we kind of keep this level of experience going throughout the years. And it's really a very student-driven thing. In terms of me being the coach, that mostly involves me making sure we have copies of the books available. The school purchases 2 copies of each book on the list that I keep in my room throughout the year, and then they check them out from me, but they manage their own teams. They determine who's reading what books. Like, I don't really do a lot. It's very much student-led.
Excellent. Well, it's an interesting thing, and I know it starts in the high school, their first interaction with this, but it'd be interesting to see, junior high, maybe just having a group.
And that is actually something, Kelly Haven has talked to me about that, has been really interested, and that is something that the Dubuque schools do. They have a junior high level contest. And I know she reached out to the organizers of that, and I think she's hoping to be able to participate with the junior high next year at Dubuque. So that would
We
be something.
purchased the books for the junior high for next year, so I'm assuming
Yeah,
that
so
we'll have junior high teams involved.
it seems very likely that we will be able to extend this out into junior high.
That's wonderful. Glad to hear. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to Mrs. Hinderman, anthology book editing team.
I have. All right, just so you know what you're looking at, this is the kids' rough draft of the book and some pictures. And this is the final product that the kids and some pictures and the agreement. All right.
Hi, I am Mrs. Hinderman, Sarah Hinderman. I'm a first-year teacher at the elementary school. I work with the 5th and 6th grade writing class. I almost said team. I also work with the team. Okay. I am a teacher that just comes up with really big ideas. I have 4 kids in the school system. One of them's really into all the athletics and stuff, but I got one that's more into the drama and the writing and stuff like that. So I really look at my students as, this one has all of the athletics, but this one is so creative with their writing and their art and so organized, and I really wanted to bring that out of my students. So I came up with this. I Googled, what do you call a group of writing and stories, and it's called anthology. So I'm like, I'm first going to learn how to say this word, and then I'm going to create an editing team to create an anthology book that would be a way to get all 85 of my students and the special ed students with Ms. Sullivan also participated. So we were able to get all of the 5th and 6th grade to participate in creating this book. My goal was to have something that not only the students, but the parents could see as a result of the poetry unit that we were doing in the month of January and February. So what I did was the anthology team, I kind of saw it as an AP group for the 5th and 6th. It was by invite only, and if you look at the agreement that I had the parents sign, the students must be passing all their classes and keeping up with their homework assignments. Students must show positive character to the teachers and fellow students. Teachers must be able to actually participate in the meetings, and they must be able to have a ride home at the end of each meeting. So I picked my group, and I showed it to the 5th and 6th grade team to make sure that they were keeping up with all the classes, not just their writing class, and got it approved. I had about 16 students on the editing team that I pulled aside during class and quietly invited them to be a part of this group, so I got their commitment right off the start. And when they showed interest, then I gave them the permission slip to take home to their parents. I actually had one student that declined, and I thanked him, and I thought that was a huge responsibility, like, that showed maturity, that he's like, I don't think that this is for me, but maybe I planted a seed where he's like, maybe I do like writing, I hope. So, let's see, we ended up having 5 meetings. We met from 3:15 to 4:30 right after school, so they just stayed and we met right in my classroom. And I split them up into groups. I gave them short explanations of what needed to be done. Like, I put them in groups of 4 or so and said, you guys, what you need to do is take the submissions from all your classmates and make collages, which you see in some of those books. So the submissions were actually, during my class, there was they were expected to submit 1 poem that was not a haiku, because we would have had a book of haikus. So after that, once they have submitted their 1 poem, because 6th graders learned 14 different types of poetry, and 5th graders learned 9 types of different poetry. So they had to put at least 1 into this book. Then after that, they were welcome to have up to 5 works of original poetry that they could put in there. I had to put a limit on it, otherwise the book would have been 4 times as big. But they learned editing, creating collages and illustrations and art. Most of the art that you see in the book is done by the editing team, so I really made sure I had the artists of the class participate or invited. They learned how to run the copy machine. They learned how to run the laminating machine and the binding machine, which I used my personal one that I had at home. They learned organization, teamwork. They had to work the fine pliers to put the binding hooks, which was actually quite the task, on 100 anthology books. They're like, my fingers hurt. I'm like, it's making them stronger. They also learned social. They're like, Mrs. Hinneman, can I please go to the bathroom? I'm like, this is not regular school. This is a fun thing that I want you to do. Just go use the restroom. It's fine. Come up. And they're like, what? I go, yeah. You're not free, but enjoy. And they also learned the responsibility, because not only did they have to make it to the meetings, but we had a deadline. I wanted it done by the middle of March, because my son, honestly, it's because my son was in the play. Let's just be real. I had to be done by 4:30. So it was a very joyful experience. I loved it. We did end up making 100 books. We have one, Miss Ford has one in the library. We gave it to all of the students, Miss Sullivan's students. Each of the teachers and the pairs also got a copy. I am hoping to do this every single year, so this is only volume 1. And Miss Ward loved that idea, because we're gonna then just put it in the library, so there'll be multiple copies. So I believe that's all I prepared for. So are there any questions about the anthology book and the editing team? Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is something that is always needed. We never have enough. And for those creative kids, they're not all athletes.
No. And their faces really did light up. I had a couple 5th graders that were disappointed that they weren't on the team. And I told them, maybe you'll be picked next year, because I hope it motivates them to show hard work in class. And one thing is, maybe I could foresee a lot of these students being on your book, Battle of the Books. So I wanted to, get them recognized at an early age.
Rowan loved it. He took a lot of pride in it. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rowan was on it, yeah, and he was great. He was on the plier team, his fingers hurt. And so to celebrate all their hard work, we did do a pizza party at the very end. And they were super excited, and I got them some pop, and they're like, my mom doesn't let me have pop after 4. I'm like, sorry. It's caffeine free. But it was a nice, and they cleaned up after themselves too. So I mean, really, it was great. I like my classroom nice and clean. We stopped 5 minutes early. I'm like, let's get to it, and they did, they were good. They took direction very well. All right.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I see Rick is back, if, Rick Haber, if you'd like to.
Sure.
He is with Corridor Safety System.
TJ, we won't do the presentation unless there's questions. Is that fine? That's fine. Okay. So, my name's Rick. I'm formerly from TC Networks, who is the managed service provider in Gatlinburg, and supplied a lot of the security we have on these. So, am I loud enough? Do I need the mic?
If you could, just
Okay.
for the people that are watching.
Sure.
at home.
So, I'm with a company called Axicom now, and Axicom, we just came out with a solution, I should say we just came out with it, it's been out for a while, but it's called Corridor Smart Evacuation. And what we're trying to do, if there's ever any type of threat, active shooter, weather, or fire-related event, we're trying to get the kids out of the school, or give them instructions to get to a safety zone quickly and efficiently. Okay, and so what we've done is our solution ties into everything you already have in the school, your cameras, your access control, AI technology, and basically gives these kids, and just the easiest way to explain it, so say an active shooter comes into the northwest side of a building, okay? In issues in other schools where they've gone back and studied, the chaos that ensues because kids run out of the classroom, they might run active shooter, okay? They don't know any better, they're just trying to get outside the building. What our solution does is it basically gives them, everybody in the building, separate instructions on where to go. So say the shooter's outside classroom 101, we don't want those kids exiting the teacher to exit that door. We want them to barricade, pull the blinds, barricade in place. Again, this is all worst case thinking, but we do have to prepare for it. There's more and more shootings, it seems weekly now. There were 3 in Dallas just yesterday or this week. You know, so it's happening more and more, even though trends seem to be coming down, you keep hearing more and more about active shooters. So, the brochure I handed just gives you an overview of Corridor itself. But again, what this does is it takes all your technology and gives the students and the teachers and the administrators a plan to get out safely if there was ever a horrific event. It also immediately ties into law enforcement. Okay, so before anything happens, law enforcement is notified as soon as an active shooter arrives on campus. The AI technology picks up the gun, picks up a knife, as a person gets out of the vehicle, and it's gonna say, okay, we need a plan for this, we need to get everybody on the same page. So law enforcement's notified immediately. It basically gives them a game plan, so they have eyes on everything that's going on inside the school. So say that, like I said, they're the active shooters in hallway H or you know, the west hallway, the police will automatically have eyes on where that shooter's going. So, the demonstration I shared with TJ and Grover a number of times, but it basically just shows you how everything comes together. Now, it doesn't just end there. This software, it utilizes, let me grab this real quick. So, July 1st of 2026, so a year from this summer, there's gonna be something in place called Alyssa's Law, okay? Alyssa was a young lady who was killed in the Parkland shootings down in Florida, I think it was 2018. And essentially her parents were big advocates. They went to DC, Washington, DC, and they said, we have to have some type of panic alarms inside the classrooms if there's ever an emergency, okay? This is essentially Alyssa's Law. Okay, there's a button on this, it's about the size of a credit. There's a button on this, it sends a silent message to administrators, okay, who then can contact local police. Okay, that's all it does. It's a mass notification, but it doesn't give any instructions on what to do after that. So we took Alyssa's Law and we essentially expanded it and came out with our solution, and basically it's going to get everybody out of the building safely and quickly. And what I'd like to do, what I'm trying to do, it's a relatively new solution as far as the solution itself and the company, but I'd like to work with the East Dubuque School District on what's called a pilot program. And basically we'll come in and we'll do the high school, put it in place, and then each month our engineers will come back and they'll work with TJ and Grover and other administrators and say, okay, what would you like to see next? What would you like to do? And just basically put this program in place for the school district. So, and then determine, okay, is this something we want to expand over to the elementary school in time and you know, go from there.
Can you talk a little bit about the reunification piece too?
Sure, it's a great point. So, all the shooting incidents that are out there, the worst part for the parents was not knowing where their kids were at after the shooting. Okay, the parents maybe they go off to McDonald's, maybe they went to a neighborhood. So this is gonna track the students anywhere during the day. So as long as they have their panic button with them, or a device similar to this, or their app on their phone, you're gonna know exactly where they're at. So the parents will know, okay, my son's out safely, my daughter's out safely, or the horrific event, maybe somebody was injured, they'll actually know where that person's at. So the reunification part of it's huge. We met with the police chief a couple weeks ago, and he happened to be had a shooting situation in his previous location, and he said that was the hardest part because nobody knows where to go after the shooting takes place, okay? They go to the safe zone, but that's it. There's nothing that can tell the parents that my daughter or son are safe. All the parents have to do is go to this app, and they know their daughter is number 219. Okay, my daughter's in the safe zone number 4. They can go over there and at least know they're okay. It's a lot to think about. Again, it's the last thing that we want to do inside the school district. But again, this is more than just the way this works. Inside the building, there'll be a bunch of beacons. Okay, and these beacons are about the size of one of those devices up there. And it works through Bluetooth, so it's going to connect to this, and then teachers will have it connect to their phones, okay? And basically, it's going to sense instructions through these, okay? And they're going to have live camera views if ever an incident is active. And then from there, we're the only company that outside the building, GPS takes over. So it starts to work with the phone lines, it starts to work with Verizon or US Cellular, whatever it is around this area. And basically, so you're going to be able to track them no matter where they go.
So each student carries one of those?
Yes. Yep. And I showed, we had a pre-meeting. Our new devices, we just want to patent on this. They're going to be half this size. Okay, so the students can tie them onto their backpack. They can wear them on their lanyard. They're about the size of a credit card, maybe a little smaller. They can be tracked throughout this. So the other thing I didn't mention is, say you live in a local community right next to the elementary school, and you're a parent. The parent can pull up this app. The daughter or son can wear this. Third grader, they know if their son or daughter got home. Okay, so they can follow them, and that's just one case scenario that's added on top of this. You could tie into license plate recognition. So say there's a hostile divorce and the husband doesn't have access to the kids, they pull up into the parking lot. Immediate red flag goes to the administrator to say, hey, why is Joe here? They're not allowed to pick up the kids. Okay, so it's not just what I'm showing you here and discussing right now. It's in this on what this solution can do. So,
How much is it cost to replace one?
these are $4.
Yes. Yeah, right?
We saw them,
down there.
Christina, it's in this one.
Yeah, so we sell these in packs of 100, but they come out to about $4 a device. So they're not that expensive. And again, this is something they guess that they'll get when they sign into the school. They come through the Raptor or Wave, whatever you're using, they'll get one of these and they'll be tracked just as long as everybody else. Yes.
So the kids don't have to cell phones and like ones in the restroom or if this goes off. How do they know where to go?
Great question. So that would immediately go to the administrator. They say, okay, we have students trapped in the bathroom. Okay, at least the emergency personnel would know where they're at. Is that what you're asking?
So this isn't particularly like for the kid. You mentioned that if the shooter comes in, you don't want the kid running left when he should have ran right. But if he's coming out of the bathroom and, is there a way that it works?
So our new buttons will buzz if there's ever a situation. So that's it. Yeah. So if they're trapped in the bathroom, there's going to be instances where this is something we're going to have to work and develop a protocol or policy. If there's somebody in the bathroom and an active shooter walks in, this will buzz, but that's the only notification they get. So a lot of things that are out there right now are just mass notification. There's an active shooter in the building. That's all that it does. Okay, it comes through a digital display or something along the lines, or audio-visual type of device. At least the student will know, okay, why is this buzzing? This shouldn't be buzzing. And they'll know, okay, do I want to stay in here? And then when they search and rescue or search is on, they'll know, okay, we have somebody in the bathroom.
It also triggers announcements on our intercom system, so we can notify everyone in the building. Teachers will get it on their laptops. If we have clear touch panels in the classrooms, like at the elementary school, they'll get notifications on there. So.
Yeah, and one thing that Rick also mentioned during our committee meeting was that the exit lights are all show controlled, so it could show a green saying you can go this way, but it might be red, it's, you can't go that way.
Thank you for
So-
bringing that up. I'm so used to depending on my demo video.
So-
But yeah, so this, again, any Internet of Things we can plug into, and that includes the exit signs, and that's a great point, is it just gives you instructions on, hey, I need to get to this way and out those doors. The police really like this because they don't wanna walk into an ambush, okay, and that happens on a lot of Uvalde down in Texas. The police got there were some bad things that happened there as well with the police department, but they got there, they were out gunned, they were out ammoed, and they didn't wanna go and get the shooter because they had more high-powered rifle than the actual police do. So the police will have eyes on everything as they're pulling up to the building, so their response time is gonna be reduced by probably 75%. They're gonna say, okay, the shooter's in hallway, the north hallway, we know exactly what doors we don't wanna go in, and then we can capture them in this part of the building. So it just opens up a plethora of information for the police.
So Alyssa's law just says that we have to have some way in the building to notify police personnel if there's a situation. It doesn't elicit exactly what it has to be, but this just expands it to the number of people that can make that notification and what information law enforcement is getting, you know, as they're on the way upon arrival. We have cameras all over this place. We had an interesting situation over the weekend with someone outside of our building, and Grover was able to watch and just walk all the way around the building because we have so many cameras here. Now we're utilizing that for a dangerous situation.
Was that me, Grover?
Not this time.
The cameras pick up motion.
Is this something that they're given in the morning and leave at night, or they're given
We-
it at the
we
beginning
could-
of the year? What happens if they
That was
don't
one of the
bring it with them?
conversations we had, that as they come in, we get the cell phone, they get their device, and as they leave, vice versa, so.
And that's all, I mean, anything is doable, I mean, it's just, you know, we could give an example. We have this set up in 6, 7 schools right now, throughout the US, so again, it's relatively new, and me living in Dubuque, I would love to have something in this vicinity or this location, just so that, hey, I'm here, I could work with TJ, we've known each other quite a while. You know, I want this to really work for you guys, and you know, again, it's, you wish you didn't need it, but you just don't know when you will need it. And that's part of the problem we're having, is that we have it rolled out in these 6 locations, but you don't use it. So how do you know it's working properly? Fire alarms, we do know fire alarms, that they've gone exceptionally well in the places and locations that we have this. Tornado drills, things like that, you can see how it really benefits. So,
The buzz that you talked about, I'm assuming that's just like one time at the very beginning, like it's not like,
There's a continuous,
what's that?
like is it continuous?
Right. 'Cause
So
then
the
you're
way
supposed to
this
stay
works,
quiet.
yeah, great, you talking about this? Okay.
Yeah.
So teachers, the students wouldn't have the one with the button on it, just so everybody knows. Only the teachers, if they didn't want to use their phone, they would have this without the button. The students would have this without the button. You can set this button up to program 8 different things. You hold it down, it goes to local law enforcement. A quick 2-hit goes to administrators. So think about if a kid's getting bullied, maybe you want to hand them one of these, okay? If they're going to the bathroom and they're getting bullied in the bathroom, they carry this around, bullying's gonna stop, okay? But the buzz will just be continuous buzz as there's a threat going on, okay? And the thing that I want to make overly clear is that we're only tracking the students when there's a threat. We're not tracking them all day long, okay? It's just when this button's pressed or the mobile app is pressed on the phone, so.
I guess what I'm asking is like, so if, say an active shooter comes in, does everybody start buzzing?
So the video really explains it. So
Oh, sorry.
No problem. So say the shooter comes in the northwest door. Okay, everybody who's in threat, well, their devices will turn on. It doesn't mean they're gonna buzz.
Okay.
If a person steps out of the vehicle with a gun or a knife, then they start to buzz. Okay, something's happening there that we need to take caution. On the video, everybody turns to red while everybody else turns to orange, and then all of a sudden you see the exit lights change. Okay, it goes from the red to green, and that's the way you want everybody out. And what I can't emphasize enough is that if you're in classroom 101 and the shooter's right out there, you pull the blinds, you barricade, there's certain protocols that the district and we'll work on with you guys to say, okay, this is what we want to see happen. Lock the door, make sure the shooter can't get in there. But yeah, so it's not a continuous buzz, it's just when a threat is happening.
So the training we give is when people know that there's a threat, you have to make decisions. Some people are really good about that, like, I know if the threat is here, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Or if I don't know where it is, I still know that I'm gonna barricade or whatever. This is sending messages to their device, like a laptop, that's telling a teacher, hey, you're in an area that is far enough away that you should get your class out of there. It's making the decision for them, like, we know where the threat is, and you should go. Or the threat's really close, get your kids in a corner barricade, get something ready to throw, like, it's helping them make decisions that, you know, none of us wanna make, but some people are really good while thinking on their feet, and some people freeze. And this is giving those people that freeze, like, we're gonna tell you what to do. You don't have to necessarily make that decision.
Yeah, part of the presentation is just think eyes on everything, and that's what you have with this device, this solution.
Old TVs when they were making, announcements where it's fuzzy for a minute and then it cuts everything off and makes the announcement, but no matter what, anybody's on or overrides the.
Yeah, it will hook into any system that we have. The intercom system,
Anything that's hooked up to your network.
You keep saying the intercom system, but like, you're not gonna announce, okay, left side go.
No, they're not.
no, we're gonna announce that there's an intruder in the building,
Yeah.
and so
but
people are
like,
gonna know
if
to.
she was, like, on sleep mode, because she's up there teaching and she's not got her computer up, is it going to pull up, or does she need to take the time to log in to get into the, app to then find out what?
Yeah, good, fair question. She'll want to go to her mobile device, and this is going to get her out of the building, and him out of the building. So she'll have to go into something to give her that warning. And then, as soon as the mobile app pops up, it gives instructions on this is where the shooter's at, because there's a map. This is where the shooter's at. This is how you get away from the shooter.
Well, and I would envision that, you know, it's like Amber Alerts and things like that on your phone, even if your phone is, you know, turned off.
It buzzes, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions for Rick? Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, awesome, thanks, sir.
All right, then moving on to student council representative.
Joey had to take off, so I've been promoted to read the student council updates. He had to go to work, I
The
think.
elementary principal, not.
He knows I like the microphone, that's why. Good evening, school board members. I am acting vice president, Mr. Joey Delaney. I'm here to report student council progress and plans for the future. Accomplished. $515 made from student council bake sale from April 9th through the 11th. $215 in tips from Pizza Ranch fundraiser on March 31st. Upcoming plans. Waiting a check from Pizza Ranch profits from the March 31 fundraiser. Executive and representative applications have been handed out. Ooh, I saw those at my house, so I know they're getting handed out and filled out. Next council will be announced as soon as possible, and the ice cream fundraiser will be taking place on April 30th through the May 2nd during both lunch hours. I think that's it for the update.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Any other visitors that would like to address the board this evening? All right, if not, we get to move on to canvassing of the election, the consolidated election that happened April 1st. We had 4 people that were running for election, 4 positions that were available for election. Dan Dalber, Dave Sen, Glenn Foote, and Angie Ryan. Dan had 257 votes, Dave Sen had 240 votes, Glenn Foote had 276 votes, and Angie Ryan had 275 votes. All 4 of them are now voted in as board members. So I appreciate, there was some concern of getting this to us today, so this worked out perfect. We got it, I think about probably 25 minutes before our meeting, so thank you to those down at the courthouse, that worked on getting our campus completed, so thank you for that. Anything else, TJ, from the canvassing standpoint? All right, so next we will move on to reorganization. So, with this, we will be seating Angie Ryan into Don Kuzma's place, and then Steve McDermott will also be joining the board, taking over based on an interview. He will be taking over for Nikki Modell's position that she had resigned. So I would like to first start by saying thank you to Don for your mentorship, your time and efforts to the East Dubuque School District. I mean, I don't know how many years exactly it is, but I know 21.
Well, that was a superintendent. I don't know how many years I've been on the board.
Let's see, 8 years, 7 years.
I'll be in my third term, so after I turn. So
Gotcha. 8 years. You know, so.
it's more than I want to remember. At this point in time. No, it's been fun, and I can say this, that we call it home. My kids do. My wife did until she passed, but yeah, it went from where we grew up to East Dubuque as our home. And spent some time with my son last weekend, and he talked about coming home, and which meant East Dubuque. So yeah, you got some believers, and I was always surprised at how much money we could filter out of Dubuque whenever we needed some funds. How great they were to come in and help and get us sponsored for a lot of our things. And I really do appreciate that, because this whole tri-state area is a great place to live and raise kids. Yeah. So thank you. Enjoyed my time, and it's time for somebody else to take over.
A little something for you, sir.
Oh,
The school district and the school board. Thank you.
well, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So next order of business is for the reorganization. I think since I was elected, that we need to.
Let's do the oath first.
We do the oath. I can do the oath.
Yes, you do.
Okay. So Angie, if you would like to come up. If you want, get this chair. All right, so for this, I will now administer the oath of office to the newly elected members of the Board of Education, and returning board members. So please repeat it, if you could rise, and please repeat after me. Does he need to do this too?
Yes.
If you would like to stand, yep, please. Christina and Esther, I don't think you have to do this. If you want to do it, I think you can, but you are still in your.
You're still good for a couple of years.
All right, so I state your name,
I, Jason,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Education
of member of the Board of Education
of East Dubuque Unit School District 119
of East Dubuque Unit School District 119
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I further swear or affirm that
I further swear or affirm that
I shall respect taxpayer interests
I shall respect taxpayer interests
by serving as a faithful protector
by serving as a faithful protector
of the school district's assets.
of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage
I shall encourage
and respect
and respect
the free expression of opinion
the free expression of opinion
by my fellow board members
by my fellow board members
and others who seek a hearing before the board,
and others who seek a hearing before the board,
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize that the board member
I shall recognize that the board member
has no legal authority
has no legal authority
as an individual
as an individual,
and that decisions can be made
and that decisions can be made
only by a majority vote
only by a majority vote
at a public board meeting.
at a public board meeting.
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
I shall abide by majority decisions of the board
while retaining the right to seek changes
while retaining the right to seek changes
in such decisions through ethical
in such decisions through ethical
and constructive channels.
and constructive channels.
As part of the Board of Education,
As part of our Board of Education,
I shall accept the responsibility for my role
I shall accept the responsibility of my role
in the equitable and quality education
in the equitable and quality education
of every student in the school district.
of every student in the school district.
I shall foster with the board
I shall foster with the board
extensive participation of the community,
extensive participation of the community,
formulate goals,
formulate goals,
define outcomes,
define outcomes,
and set the course for East Dubuque School District.
and set the course for East Dubuque School District.
I shall assist in establishing a structure
I shall assist in establishing a structure
and an environment designed
and an environment designed
to ensure all students
to ensure all students
have the opportunity to attain
have the opportunity to attain
their maximum potential
their maximum potential
through a sound organizational framework.
through a sound organizational framework.
I shall strive to ensure
I shall strive to ensure
a continuous assessment
a continuous assessment
of student achievement
of student achievement
and all conditions affecting
and all conditions affecting
the education of our children
the education of our children
in compliance with state law.
in compliance with state law.
I shall serve
I shall serve
as education's key advocate
as education's key advocate
on behalf of students
on behalf of students
in our community school
in our community school
to advance the vision for East Dubuque School District.
to advance the vision of East Dubuque School District.
And I shall strive to work together
And I shall strive to work together
with the district superintendent
with the district superintendent
to lead the school district
to lead the school district
toward fulfilling the vision
toward fulfilling the vision
the board has created,
the board has created,
fostering excellence for every student
fostering excellence for every student
in the areas of academic skills,
in the areas of academic skills,
knowledge,
knowledge,
citizenship,
citizenship,
and personal development.
and personal development.
All right, well, welcome to the East Dubuque Board of Education.
I don't think the president has to say that when he gets selected.
right, so, our next is to appoint a president pro tem, in order to work through the reorganization.
Move to appoint TJ president.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Dave to, appoint TJ as our president pro tem. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, so we will move on. Do you have the information for moving forward?
Yeah. We need to appoint secretary pro tem. It will be.
I move to nominate Esther Bolton as our secretary pro tem.
Second.
It was moved by Glenn and seconded by Dave to appoint Esta as secretary pro tem. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that motion carries, okay? Now nominations for president. So nominations are now in order for the office of president. I open it up for nominations for president.
I nominate Glenn Foot.
Second.
We have, Christina nominates Glenn. We have a second from Angie. Okay. Any other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, Glenn Foot will be the president of the board. Let us nominate. Okay, Glenn, you're back up.
Take it back.
That was short-lived.
Thanks, TJ. All right, so then we will move on for nominations of vice president.
Nominate Dave as vice president.
I'll second.
It's been moved to nominate Dave as vice president, seconded by Esta. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Hearing no other nominations, all those in favor for having Dave as vice president, raise your hand, please. All right. Thank you, Dave, for taking on that role. And next we'll move on to nominations for secretary.
I nominate Esther Bolton.
I'll second. I nominate Christina.
No, hold on one second. So it's been moved by Christina, seconded by Angie, to have Esther Bolton as our secretary. Are there any other nominations for secretary?
Christina.
Esther moves for Christina,
I'll second that.
and it's been seconded by Dave.
Can I nominate 2 people?
Let's see. So are there any other nominations for secretary? All right, so,
Just show of hands.
all right, so all in favor for Esther Bolton as vice president, raise their hand.
Secretary.
Or yes, I'm sorry, thank you.
If she wants to.
It says vice president on here, or the secretary, so that's why I said that, I apologize. All right, so,
Do you want to serve, Esta?
I don't like, I'm really bad at spelling.
You just have to sign stuff.
that's really the majority of it. I mean, you can take notes during our closed session, but
Okay,
there's
then
not.
yes, I don't want to.
So,
If you want to do it, I mean, I'll do it.
I think Esther's okay with doing it.
Yeah, she's fine.
she said she's fine.
She just.
All right, so let me do this again. All in favor of Esther Bolton for the office of secretary, raise their hands.
You can do it.
All right, so that was, did you have all of them? So that was Stephen, Christina, Angie, and myself. So there's, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see Dan's hand, I apologize. And Dan. And then all in favor of Christina for the office of secretary. So that is Esta and Dave. So congratulations to Esta Bolton on your nomination and becoming secretary of the board, so thank you. All right, so our next line of information here is establishing regular board meeting date and time. So currently, we do it every third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Anybody has any, just want to have any conversation, or if not, you can entertain a motion to continue on with that, or?
Motion to continue with third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m.
Yeah, don't change it, just
Second.
say the same.
It's been moved by Christina, seconded by Dave, to keep our meetings on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, so we will continue having them on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. All right, so next is committee appointments. So, am I the only one that has it? So we have a building and grounds committee. Currently, I am the chair. Don was a member, and Dave was a member. Do we want to change things up, or I'll kind of go through what the different committees are, I guess, for the new board members. So we have building and grounds, we have the calendar committee, finance, business, and budget committee, parent-teacher advisory, personnel, curriculum, and technology, and policy. Right now, for building and grounds, as I said, that's myself and Dave are currently members of that. Don was a member. Calendar committee is Dan as the chair. Esta and Christina are members for the calendar committee. For the finance, business, and budget, it is currently Dave as the chair and Esta as a member, and then Nikki was a member of the finance committee. Parent-teacher advisory, Dan is the chair, I am a member, and Esta is a member. Personnel, curriculum, and technology, Don was the chair, Dan was a member, and I was a member. And then for policy, Dave was the chair, Christina was a member, and then Nikki McCown was a member of that. So we can keep what we have here, or if people would want to change. So, I guess.
Typically what we would do is have Stephen go into Nikki's spot, have Angie go
Correct.
into Don's spot, and keep it that way, but we have the opportunity, if someone has a passion for one of those. Buildings and grounds has been pretty busy, and policy is also one of the more regular committees. The others are kind of as needed.
So with it as it is, if we were to keep it how it is, so myself staying on the committees, Dave staying on the committees, Esta staying, Christina and Dan, Angie, you would become a member of the personnel, curriculum, technology, and the building and grounds. And then Stephen would become a member of the finance, business, and budget, and the policy. So, I guess, are you comfortable with that, Steve?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
And
Does anybody
current
else
board
want to?
members, does anybody have any concerns with their roles on committees? Would they like to change where they're at?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, and it's something that we can come back to. Like if you have, you decide next week that, maybe I would like something else, we can always discuss that and go through. So we will just do that then.
Okay. So we need a motion.
Committees. So I entertain a motion to approve keeping the existing board members where they are and having the new board members filling the roles of the people that they have taken.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Dave, second by Esta. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, and then the next piece of action is to approve our law firm to conduct district business. So as it exists today, we have Robin Schwartz as our district legal counsel, and we have a decent agreement with them. So I would suggest that we continue on, but I entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dave, seconded by Christina to approve Robin Schwartz as our district legal counsel. I'll do roll call on this because it doesn't really touch me.
Me?
Yes, please.
Foot,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Sent,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Holton, Dahlberg.
Aye.
And then moving on to our next is our financial institution. Currently, we have Fidelity Bank as our district financial institution, and they have been doing
I will say that whenever, like, if Lisa finds a better rate on a CD or something at another bank, Fidelity will always match it. They'll come in and speak with us, educate us. This year, we were able to invest all of our money instead of, all of the money that we have that, we know we'll use down the line. We used to only be able to invest what was an overage in a fund area, and now we can invest all of it, so we're making significantly more return, and Fidelity's been great to work with, so I recommend that we stay with them.
So I entertain a motion. It's been moved by Dan, seconded by Angie, to approve Fidelity Bank as our district financial institution. Roll call, please.
Sent,
Aye.
McDermott,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Holton, Dahlberg,
Aye.
Foot,
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
And our last piece of reorganization business is our IASB Code of Conduct. So everybody has one of these in front of them that shows the school board member code of conduct. So we just need to adopt the code of conduct as stated.
So moved.
Been moved by Dave, seconded by Esta to adopt the IASB Code of Conduct. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, so again, I want to thank Don for your time on the board and your mentorship and honestly guiding us through some difficult times at points and getting us to where we are today. So thank you very much.
There was a lot worse when I first came. Don't worry about it. It will be started.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much. All right, so now that we are through with reorganization, we get to move on to staff reports.
Wes, you just got cut down to like 2 minutes.
I'll do my best. 4 square? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so just a shout out. Geez, I sound young when I say that. I'm not cool enough for that. So just compliments to Elizabeth Schneider, who has kind of navigated our STEM club over the last couple of years. She's been just doing a tremendous job. She had a couple of kids in the process. And really, that has been the only deterrent for her not spending every week with these 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. It's been just awesome. Had great turnouts, and just, kudos to her for just doing an incredible job. Sam Lang has covered for her a few times too, her brother. So it's just been really, really great having a club like that, kind of getting some momentum. And kind of to spill off of that, I didn't have it on our report, but Sam also, we finally got mostly the greenhouse finalized. We should actually have him talk at one of the next meetings about it. We just need it, I think, caulked still. I think that's one of the last steps on it. It's awesome. And he's got big, big, big plans for this bad boy. And so we're really excited about just him integrating that piece into just normal learning for our kiddos at the elementary. So it's been a lot of fun. He's done a great job. A huge thanks to Grover for reaching out to his construction guys and making that happen and getting that thing put together. It was a real beast. So just a real team effort on that. So it's been fantastic. I'm sure Darren talked about the same thing, and I always forget about this stuff, so I was glad I remembered for once. Archery team, Elementary archery team just did a tremendous job downstate. They state championship, third year in a row. I mean, that alone is impressive. Colin Jackson, one of our fifth graders, overall champion with a 273. Just really, really job well done. I kind of laid out our top, these are the top shooters in the state, and significant majority of them are our kids. So just an incredible job on that end. I did misspeak on here. On the next one, I put how we had 3D. Cooper Weimerster did win the boys' side. Maddie Schindler actually got second, not first. So she finished second. I had talked to her about it. She's like, no, I wasn't touching this girl in front of me. She was a rock star. But anyway, kudos to her for doing an incredible job as well on it. So, and the coaches for just the time commitment they put in already on it. And then the last one, spring break, book fair this spring. Mrs. Ward did a great job running that as usual. Sold just over $4,000 worth of books and other items. A lot of scholastic dollars, which is just money that goes right back into the library, right back into the classroom. So great job on her end as well. So we appreciate her making it look really, really, really simple. She puts a lot of extra time, energy, and effort into it. It just does it with a smile. We always appreciate that about her. So anyway, that's it for the elementary this month.
Thanks, Wes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Moving on to Mr. Sirianni.
Spring activities, getting very busy. We are going to be hosting a baseball regional this year. So the week of May 20th through the 24th, we got games on, I believe it's Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for the regional. Echoing what Wes had talked about with archery, the middle school team also took first place at the state tournament. And then from the high school team, Liam Mead advanced as an individual. So we got our elementary, our middle school, and Liam that will all be competing in Louisville here the May 8th, 9th, 10th for the national tournament. So IAR testing, all of the testing is complete. Now it's the logistics, and I know that Wes and Pam Oney and I talked this afternoon, and there's some pieces to it that are very frustrating to try to get final submissions done. So we're working through that, but our part is done from testing. It's now just submissions. So in science, we have one student left to finish one of the 3 tests, and then we are completed with that. So we're in good shape. Yesterday was the ACT and the pre-ACT for the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, and we were missing one student yesterday who was here today and is made up. So all is good there on the testing. It's hard to believe that we can say this, but we are down to 24 days left of student attendance after today. So the end is coming near. Getting ready for final exams, May 21st, 22nd, 23rd. 7th graders will go to Medieval Times yet, and 8th graders to Springfield. So a lot of things happening here in the next 4 weeks, and the end will come fast. So, any questions?
I have a question, Darren. Can you speak a little bit about the event coming up out at the ball field on that Saturday in May for Coach Vesley and Coach Risen? Give us a little bit of insight on that. Are we doing anything special in memory of those 2 fine individuals at the ball field?
So on Saturday, May 3rd, the varsity baseball team is hosting a triangular that day. I believe it's Orion and Pearl City that are coming here. But at any rate, before the first game of the day, we are going to do a dedication to John Vesley and Bill Risen. We have gotten 2 flags, royal blue flags with their name and their jersey number on them. And on that day, that'll be the first time that they get flown, but they'll get raised up on the flagpole right below the American flag. And then for all of our home games, we will fly those flags in their honor and memory. So,
What time does that start here?
First game is scheduled for 10 o'clock that day, so the ceremony itself will be before the first game, so probably somewhere around 9:45.
Okay. Have we considered or talked about anything as far as maybe something permanent
dugouts as far as plaques, bronze plaques?
Lots of different conversations. Obviously, part of it is, you need to make sure that the family is good with
Right.
whatever you do. And I can tell you that in my conversation with Jerry Vesley, it's still too early to talk about some of those permanent things right now, but she was very grateful, and so was Kara, about doing something to recognize both Bill and John the way that we are for right now, so.
Okay, excellent.
Further
I hope that they
conversations.
eventually get to that point, but it'd be very nice.
Yes.
So, thank you, Darren.
Thank you, appreciate it. Moving on to Mr. Potts.
Thanks, sir. All right, I'll make this quick because people sitting on lunch table seats are probably getting uncomfortable. First of all, from the maintenance department, just a lot of love for Grover and his family and his appreciation to everyone who reached out to him after the passing of his father. So it was, it's never nice to go to a wake, but it was nice to see his family and people saying, "Oh, you must work with Grover," and we said, "Nah, we all work for Grover." So it was like I said, it's never a nice event, but it was great to meet some of the family. So, and our condolences, Grover. From the district office, Kevin's here, so I'm gonna skip over that part. We will come back to that. The Joanne and Don Leffelholt Scholarship Award, the family reached out to us and said after the passing of Joanne that they wanted to do something for East Dubuque students. So they decided on 2 scholarships or awards of $2,000 each for 2 of our seniors. They wanted this to be a little bit less of a traditional award, so they were kind of targeting students that were either going into education or the trades, but it didn't necessarily have to be that way. They weren't looking at top scholars like most scholarships. They're looking at students that exemplify all the qualities and characteristics of a warrior and may not necessarily be a top student, but are a kind person and a hardworking person. The twist on this is that they wanted staff members, not just teachers, all staff members, to nominate students that exemplify these qualities, and then so the staff nominate students, and then the students will do a response to being nominated, and then the family will choose based on those nominations and the responses. So it's a little bit different process than most scholarships, but a very cool one. And it doesn't have to be someone that's necessarily going to college or to school. The award will then be used for whatever trade or career they're going into, for supplies or equipment or tools or whatever they may need to help get them kick-started into that career. So just a very, very cool thing that they are doing there. Salary understanding. So every year when we ask teachers to come back, we usually give them a copy of their contract and have them sign it. It's a little bit of a redundancy because they've already signed a contract. So we created a new form, and it basically shows them what their salary is going to be, because that's really what they're looking for is, what was the raise, what's their salary going to be. But we also include on there their benefits package. And then on the back side of it, it's just the rest of the information, the conditions of employment that we want to make sure that they know and understand. But then they don't have to sign a whole contract, and we don't have to have the board president and secretary sign 50-some contracts. It's just the staff member that is returning signing this salary understanding. A number of districts in our area do that, and it's just a little bit of an efficiency for us. So the union agreed. We worked with them on what wording should be on there, and everybody is happy with that and created some efficiency there. And then finally, not on my report, but I just wanted to give an update. House Bill 1237 has been pretty hot and heavy. This is the bill that deals with mascots, the use of Indians or Native American likeness. It did pass the House. I've been in contact with our reps and with the senators, just imploring them to vote no. I will say that Tony McComey did vote no. I know a number of school districts in Joe Davies County, Warren, Stockton, East Dubuque, all made contact with them. I do have a letter that will be going out to all of our families tomorrow. I sent it out to staff and to the board today, but I have a hard copy. You can take one of those. Just imploring people to make contact. You know, that it's not just about a mascot, but it's about, you know, tradition and symbols of our local area, about our school district, and about local control to make decisions that are best for our students in our school district, not at the state level. So I'll let you read that, but I just wanted to give you an update on where that stands.
Any questions for TJ?
Thanks, TJ.
You bet.
I do have a question for you. I was actually in a meeting the other day around K-12 education in the state of Illinois. It sounds like there's some great things happening in regards to dual enrollment funding and moving more of the funding out of the higher education space and having the community colleges and four-year schools control the funding and now sliding it over into the K through 12. Have you been hearing anything, any rumblings?
So it's called Pathways, or Career Pathways and Pathways for Education, where it does potentially open up. Not yet, we're not feeling it yet, but just the potential for us to work with students on whatever's coming next for them. I think the realization is becoming more and more apparent that not every kid is built for a four-year college, and nor should they be. It used to be told to a lot of us when we were in high school that if you didn't go to college, it was going to be really rough. And now people in the trades are, you know, doing very well because there's not enough of them. So this is encouraging kids to pursue their passion as opposed to just continuing school. So we're hoping, the talk is that there's going to be funding surrounding this, but
I thought it was really exciting around the CTE staff.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, good.
And I'm attending a meeting at Highland in a couple weeks. Either Darren or Cassie Meyer, one of them will go with me, and it's all surrounding this pathway. So we're starting to open up the conversation. Definitely.
It's good news. Anybody else have questions? Thank you, teacher. All right, moving on to unfinished business. I just wanted to thank Dan again for getting the Northwest Division meeting to our district. That was held on the 31st of March, and I just want to read a letter that was received. Dear members of the East Dubuque School District 119 Board of Education and Mr. Potts, thank you so much for hosting the ISB Northwest Division hybrid meeting on March 31st, 2025 at East Dubuque Senior High School. We appreciate all the work that you did to make it a wonderful evening. Thank you for being willing to host a hybrid division meeting and all the planning, hardware, day of changes, and site visits that entail. Ben Graves is fantastic, and we could not have had a successful event without him. Thank you also to the other tech staff who helped get everything set up. The cafeteria was beautiful and set up perfectly, with tables conducive to sharing your meal and chairs set up in front of the speaker. The food was delicious. Please thank Paige Johnson for all her hard work. Thank you to Principal Darren Sirianni for his hospitality. Thank you to the staff who set up and cleaned up afterwards. Our members enjoyed the school tours. A special thank you to Lisa Barklow for all her planning, coordinating, and preparation. My colleagues and I at the association and your executive committee extend our sincere appreciation for making us feel welcome and for your ongoing support of ISB and the Northwest Division. Sincerely, Laura Martinez, the Director of Outreach. just wanted to kind of reference the speaker was Doug Bolton, and he presented on harnessing the power of belonging in schools, and it was pretty impactful. It was a good presentation, and just showing the power of being included, and even just being acknowledged, and how that impacts a person. So I definitely entertain anybody if they are interested to look up Doug and see. I'm sure he's got videos out there.
Yeah, I ordered 3 copies of his books for our administrative team.
Thanks, Daniel,
Yeah.
for getting that organized.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other old business? All right, we'll move on to new business, and I'm sure Mr. Epperly is just so excited now to do his part. So Kevin is here to speak about the update on the 10-year the Health Life
Thanks,
Safety
Robert.
Survey and the FEMA grant.
Did you share these with anybody? I brought copies of the memo I emailed you today.
Oh,
It's okay, I'll just pass it on.
thanks, sir. I did go on, Kevin, and try and do my part. I had like 7 minutes, and I didn't get it done, so get that done first thing tomorrow. Wes, did you ever do this? Did you ever do health and safety? Maybe look at that.
Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Kevin Epperly with FEH Design Architects and Engineers in Dubuque. We are working with you on your health and safety program. The state of Illinois requires that all school districts every 10 years do a health and safety assessment. Code, maintenance, ADA, get that done, and security, energy efficiency, things like that. So this is my 4th time doing this for your district. We've this year taken a different strategy, but what you can see there is the 10-year survey for the junior high school building, this building here. What we do is we identify everything that we would need to invest in over the next 10 years. We categorize it as urgent, required, recommended, and we estimate the cost for that, and then we add on contingency, and we add on design fees and other things. So at this building, it totals about $1.6 million. Now, we've worked very closely with Grover and TJ and Wes and Darren on what are the issues. Matter of fact, we snuck a few in just the last few days to put some of these in. We've divided the elementary for the first time between the rectangular building and the round building. And the reason that's important is because we are developing a specific health life safety amendment for building replacement. So what we have to do is we have to basically prove that all the work that we would have to do to the rectangular building costs more than building a new building using kind of industry standard cost estimating. So the round school has $565,000 worth of items, but the rectangular building has $3,178,000 worth of items. Some of the big reasons behind that, well, there's all kinds of reasons behind that, but some of the big ones are accessing from one building to the next. So you essentially really need an addition between the 2 buildings with an elevator in it to move those students, and then we need another addition with an elevator to get you down to the lower level, and we need a platform lift inside the building to get you down to the cafeteria level. We need a ramp at the front of the building. We need a whole new HVAC system, electrical system. As you can imagine, that building is antiquated. So you do a calculation for replacement, and it's about $100,000 less than the cost of repair. So this will all be submitted to the state. All 3 of the reports were submitted via the IWAS electronic website. We did it today, this afternoon, because I thought Grover was gonna call me today with more stuff to add, so I waited till the last minute. The way this works is, it's all online, we make a submittal. As soon as you approve the report, TJ makes his submittal, fill in the dollar numbers on all those forms that have my name and seal and number on it. And then it goes to the Regional Office of Education, they review it. And if they like it all, they send it on to the state reviews it, and we always get comments back. So there'll be questions, we'll be going back and forth with them to explain why these things should be included in this. It gives you the authority to levy, to do this work over the next 10 years, basically. I don't think we've ever been able to complete every single item on one of these, and almost no district is able to do that, unless you get like a brand new building and there's $50,000 worth of work that is identified. So it's an ongoing process to complete those items, but that's where we're at. We'll probably hear something from the state in the next few weeks when they do their review after this gets submitted. And you heard TJ say, I only gave him a little bit of time to go ahead and do his submittal, so he might have to do that tomorrow. I also want to give you an update on the FEMA stuff.
Can I say one thing about health, life, safety before we move on? So when you look at those three numbers for the schools, the thing you have to keep in mind, because $1.6 million for this building after we've just done, a couple of phases and a lot of things around here, you have to remember that's a projection out over the next 10 years. So these are all things that we think are likely going to have to be addressed in the next 10 years. So when you think about it, that way it's $160,000 each year, which kind of makes more sense than 1.6 million.
And we've added inflation to the ones, because we have to put in a year that we think the work is gonna be done. So we try to add, has it got 5 years of inflation to it?
Yeah. So like, for instance, this building, we know that the roof is gonna have to be addressed in certain sections in the next 10 years. So roofs are not cheap. So that's why I just didn't want any question, like, how do we have so much money needed, right now for this building? Well, it's not. It's over the next 10 years, and it could be anything.
The total of the urgent number for this building is very low. It's mostly all required items.
Just want to
Maintenance.
make that clarification.
Any other questions on health and safety? Okay. The FEMA. You all probably heard that some of the FEMA programs have been defunded and retroactive to 2020. And we have 6 of those. Our company has 6 of those FEMA projects that are funded by the BRIC program, Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. That's what that stands for. That's the only category that has been eliminated or defunded. The other categories have not been, but the other categories are totally different. So this, I put a little bit of information here, I'm just gonna read it. RIC is no longer an active program. It might come back in the future, but it's certainly not there now. It had actually been created to replace FEMA's Pre-Disaster Mitigation Program, PDM. It's called the LPDM. That program still exists, but it has no funding. The NOFO is the Notice of Funding Opportunity, and there has not been a Notice of Funding Opportunity issued for that. So it's not been published. It's funded exclusively through congressionally directed spending. The types of projects funded under the PDM are generally consistent with those eligible under FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Assistance Programs, including scoping and infrastructure projects that were previously eligible under the BRIC. The HSEM is basically the Emergency Management Department. Homeland Security and Emergency Management is not directly involved in identifying those projects, as they are essentially earmarked by Congress. And you're thinking, oh my God, earmarked by Congress. Communities interested in funding work should work directly with their delegation to advocate for the projects. Congressionally identified projects are published in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. So then I put a couple links here. The 2025 CDS information, there's a link to that. What is congressionally directed spending? And I just wanted to give you an example so that you understand this is not like a Hail Mary, this is a real thing. The Senator Baldwin, she's from Wisconsin, she has got a list of her designated directed funding projects. If you go to that link, what you'll see is the first page will open up and there's 50 projects there. There's a tornado safe room up in Stevens Point. It's got $6 million coming to it. But then you'll see at the bottom, oh, there's more pages. There, she has 22,000 projects with congressionally directed funding. And every senator has the ability to do that. So you have to work with your legislators, and you have to convince them that this is a needed project. And our application that's already been put together by the grant writer shows the need for this. And the fact that we're in a zone where there's also flooding, and that we can help, mitigate on this property by stopping the water from running down the hill, is another important aspect. So the BRIC funding went away. That's the grant application we were submitting. We had it all put together for you. But that application is still available and can be submitted for these other sources. So we can't just submit anything. You have to reach out to your legislators to make that one work. And I'll be talking with TJ more about that. Any questions on that?
For those schools, you said it was retroactive.
It's retroactive, so the funding for every single project stopped. And the way that FEMA works is you submit your monthly construction invoices. It's interesting because it went back to 2020 and the BRIC funding is only good for 3 years. So there may have been some that got extensions. So if you're in construction, the funding just stopped. What they're doing then is they're basically reviewing every project on a case-by-case basis. So we've already heard of some that were approved in 2022, they're under construction, and they're being evaluated to make sure that they can continue.
Who's evaluating it?
They're evaluated by FEMA, the federal agency.
I saw Doge on here. Is that part of that? My other question was, so like these congressionally directed spending, could that also be taken away retroactively if we would go after that?
The reason the feeling is that it won't be is because these are led specifically by Congress or the Senate. And the funding is allocated specifically by those individual representatives as a majority. They're all voted on, which is different than the FEMA funding. The BRIC program was totally run by the agency. They don't need a senator or a congressperson to select the project and then have it voted on. So the feeling is it's not going to go away. It's kind of like the Inflation Reduction Act. It's probably not going to go away because the majority of the Republicans in Congress support it because it's creating jobs. So right now the feeling is that one is going to be a lot harder to touch than some of the other things that have been defunded. That answer you? That's the best information I have.
Something on here said, mentioning contacting Senator Duckworth and Senator Durbin's office. Is it, the House too, like the House and the Senate, or is it just primarily the Senate that?
House and the Senate, yeah.
So Lakewood as well?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great to talk to the state legislature as well, because this funding flows through the state. So you want to make sure the state supports it, and then talk to your national representatives.
Would it have helped had we been already approved through FEMA for the bridge grant?
No, that
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, they pulled the notice of funding opportunity back. Everybody felt, oh, they're just gonna change it and take out, we thought they were gonna take out the nature-based solutions piece. But then they never reissued a notice of funding opportunity, and then they just canceled it.
Any other questions for Mr. Ebner? Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for your patience, Kevin.
It's not my first school board.
I know.
All right, moving on, 8.2 is an informational item. It's a FOIA for annual expenses paid over $500 for years 2024, 2014, and 2004.
So 8.2 through 8.11, about, what was it, Tracy, every 2 or 3 days we can get a new FOIA. It was every district in our area, most districts in the state were receiving these FOIAs. It was just running reports, and
Luckily, with our system that we have, we were able to do it. There were some of them we weren't able to provide, and we contacted them and said, you know, the amount of work to get what they were asking for would have created an undue burden on the district office. Everything, I think it was it Tracy, like 2012 and beyond was all, we were able to pull electronically. Everything before that would have been crazy, so it was, you know, this is the beauty of FOIAs, I guess. You can ask for anything.
Do you know what this company does, TJ?
No, I don't.
All right, so we're gonna just rinse and repeat 8.3, 8.4, 8.5, 8.6, 8.7, 8.8, 8.9, 8.10, 8.11, because they are the same, just for different years.
Yes.
Any questions on any of those? All right, so 8.12 is informational, a FOIA request for postal service for postal information. That looks pretty straightforward. Just asking about free utilizing postage meters, shipping tracking software, etc. And then 8.13 is another FOIA request for all POs from 2020, purchase orders from 2020 to present. That looks somewhat familiar, but the time range looks a little more involved. And then moving on to 8.14, congratulations to Lenore Beck, high school English teacher, for being Anderson Weber's April Teacher of the Month. So that's very exciting. Congratulations to Lenore. Did she get to drive one of their cars?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
I don't think she wants to, though. She has a Porsche.
She's the one that has the Porsche out there. Oh, well, jeez.
I'll try it.
That's great. All right, 8.15 is an action item to approve summer hours during the summer for the past, I don't know how many years, but we generally look to approve staff working 4 10-hour days instead of the normal 5 days, and that would begin on June 2nd. Did you guys have anything to add to that? I know it works out pretty well.
Roll, you're gonna stay on your 5 10-hour days, right?
On call 24/7.
5 10-hour days would be a reduction in work.
I motion to change that.
It's been moved by Esta,
I'll second that.
seconded by Dave to approve the summer hours of 4 10-hour days. beginning the week of June 2nd. Roll call, please.
Bolton. Aye. Dahlberg.
Aye.
Foot.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Sent.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
A16 is an action item for approval of non-certified 2025-2026 wage increases.
So this would just be non-certified employees. We would have an increase of 4%, which is in line with what teachers are receiving for next year that we negotiated a couple of years ago. So recommend that we keep them in line and do the 4% for non-certified employees. This does not include directors or administrators, just paraprofessionals, food service, bus drivers.
This has been standard practice for us for a while, hasn't it?
Since I've been here, we tried to keep non-certified and in line with what the teachers
Right.
Second.
It's been moved by Dan, second by Christina to approve the non-certified 2025-2026 wage increases. Roll call, please.
Shower.
Aye.
Sent.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Bolton. Dahlberg.
Aye.
Foot.
Aye. A17 is to approve Vision 2030 Resolution of Support.
So this was the piece that I sent to you after our last meeting. This is the state vision, and they're trying to get as many school boards to support this vision. Falls in line a little bit with what Dave was talking about with the pathways piece. That is definitely a piece of this vision, and it would be something that Esther would get to sign as the secretary.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dave, second by Christina to approve the Vision 2030 Resolution of Support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right. And then moving on, any other? All right, so moving on to personnel.
I'll make a motion to approve the personnel items on the agenda to the Board of Education for April 16th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved by Dave, second by Angie to approve the personnel as stated on the agenda. Roll call, please.
Dahlberg.
Aye.
Foot.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
Sent.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
I would like to thank those that are resigning their positions, and then also welcome Haven Galar as our elementary para. We do not have any for executive session this evening, so moving on to President's Prerogative. I have nothing tonight.
We do want to schedule a strategic planning. We're hoping to get together next week. Asked if Tuesday or Wednesday next week would work for board members, if we could look at either one of those.
You want an answer right now, TJ?
No, I don't have to have an answer, but it looked like Dan was shaking his head that does not work, so, I think. I can send some dates tomorrow, but. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so moving on, I entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved by Dan, second by Esther to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Aye. No, I didn't. I didn't know what that got in.
That was for an aye.
That was an aye, not a nay.
All right, thank you, everyone.